What is good, YouTube? This is your boy Aaron.
It's Brian.
This is the Courtside View Podcast, and we are back today. And a lot of drama. So let's get it started with the NBA. All right, first off, Grizzlies. We're almost towards the playoffs, and they decided it's okay to fire their head coach. I think they have like 10 or 9 games left before the season is over. They're close to the second seed. They were the second seed at one point. What is going on? Why would they do that? So I've seen reports coming out about the offense, something wrong about the offense. Remember, we mentioned this before months ago about a game I saw against the Cavaliers, I believe it was, where Ja Morant, he wasn't getting the ball. They weren't running no pick and roll. It's 5-out offense. They more about the role players getting them involved, but Ja Morant, he's not getting involved much. You have one of the most explosive point guards in the league, and he was great when it comes to pick and rolls, and now you are the least pick and roll heavy team in the league. So I don't get why they would do that. And I saw something else where the Grizzlies, I think in the month of March, actually since February, have I don't think they've beaten a winning team.
Since February 3rd, they haven't beat a team over 500 besides the Mavs, and like 8 players was hurt.
Right. So there you go. And then a report not too long ago about the offense, about Ja Morant, not when he comes to practice, he not always thrilled, mainly because of the offense. So it's a lot going on with that. It seems like a lot of offense. I've seen people that cover the Grizzlies talk about how in-game Taylor Jenkins isn't the greatest. So
yeah, we knew that already.
Yeah, we knew that.
Remember that the series against the Nuggets? No, the Timberwolves. It was the Timberwolves, like back in 23, 22, 23.
22.
It was
22.
Oh goodness, that was
the Warriors one.
God awful basketball. I was like, oh my, down the stretch, it was just chaos and mayhem.
And then 23, they had the second seed. They lost to the Lakers.
Yeah.
The 7th seed. I just think with Taylor Jenkins, there was not a high ceiling.
I agree with that.
I've always looked at the Grizzlies as not a threat. As a Laker fan, I bet a bunch of fan bases that their teams are in the playoffs right now or in playoff contention believe that the Grizzlies weren't much of a threat because of their offense, because of their coach. I never looked at Taylor Jenkins as one of the better head coaches in the NBA. I always thought, okay, yeah, he's a good developmental coach. But in terms of in-game adjustments, in-game management, I never really was scared about the Grizzlies at all. So my surprise is the timing of it all. I wouldn't fire a coach 9 games before the playoffs. So that was very surprising, perplexing to say the least. Why didn't you let go of him last year? You could have.
Even before the All-Star break or something.
But they were winning.
Well, that is true.
They could have let him go after they missed the playoffs, after they had that bad season. But they probably felt that, well, injuries, Ja Morant coming back, it's not really his fault. But you could have made him the scapegoat. Then it would have looked bad, but it wouldn't have looked as bad as what it is right now, where you fire a coach and you're still gunning for that second seed with 9 games remaining. And now the morale is messed up. The players are probably uncertain of what's going to happen in the future. What's going to happen with Ja Morant? Are they going to build around him now? Like, what are we doing? What is the direction of the Grizzlies? I have no clue, because I think they changed the coaching staff. They hired new coaches. They fired those coaches, the coaches that are responsible with the changing of the offense. Where are we going with this? What is the future?
Listen, if I have no idea, it just seems like NBA teams and ownership, they just be doing stuff when it comes to these coaches. Like when the Bucks fired
Mike Budenholzer.
Yeah, but then they also fired Griffin. What's his name, Griffin?
Yeah,
Griffin. Adrian Griffin. Halfway through the season, they was like 29-7 or something like that, and he fired him.
They're like the second seed.
Yeah, they just fired him mid-season before the All-Star break. We was like, what the heck is going on there? So NBA teams, they just be doing stuff, man. And I have heard good things about the assistant that they made the interim coach.
Yeah,
like I heard someone say, I don't know if it was Brett Usher or somebody. It was saying he's not going to give up the head coach. Once he steps in, he's going to be the head coach because he's that good. That's what I heard. So we're gonna have to see about that. But yeah, I just think it's just interesting. Like head coaching in the NBA, you have a short leash, and I wish it was kind of like that for the NFL, but unfortunately, it's not because some coaches definitely deserve to be fired over there. But yeah, the Grizzlies, it's kind of like you just punting the season essentially.
Yeah, that's a drastic change, especially when you change your offense dramatically and now you let go of the people that are responsible for that offense. I think you have to wait until after the season. You have to wait it out until the results are the results, and then you make that decision. I feel like it's inappropriate for them to do that at this moment. We all agree that Taylor Jenkins wasn't the greatest. But to do that at this moment, it's just like, why?
Did you see the tweet saying that he lost the locker room?
I didn't see that. No.
I'm gonna find it. I believe they put it in the group chat.
But if they,
I'm gonna see if I can find it. It shouldn't take long.
But I saw a tweet where the players were very shocked that he got fired. So I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, it says Sham said Taylor Jenkins lost the Grizzlies locker room.
Okay, that is a problem. That But that was the same thing with the Bucks, right? But they were still winning. I just think it's just too much of a drastic move to do that towards the end of the season. You have to wait it out and then make your decision. I don't see this Grizzlies team competing this year. You could say arguably that they overachieved to a certain extent. I mean, for crying out loud, last year they weren't even close to the playoffs. This year they're back in playoff contention. They can potentially get home court advantage, and you just decide that we're gonna punt. We're gonna get rid of our coach. We believe that the interim coach is way better than the coach that we used to have. I don't know, man. Like, do you believe that they're going to drastically change the offense now that Taylor Jenkins and that coaching staff is gone?
I think what they'll do is more pick and roll.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's what they'll do. I think they'll try to make it a more pick and roll based offense.
I agree with that.
Like get Zach Edey involved. He's like 7'4". Like get him involved in the pick P&R. That was kind of like his bread and butter at Purdue. So it would be silly to not run that while he's in the league.
Right. I just wonder when you have to drastically change the offense on the fly like that towards playoff time, the chemistry, how is that going to be affected? Like, are they going to have time to adjust to a new system overall when you're about to go in the playoffs where defenses are about to be set, guys have scouting reports on players? How you gonna
from 2 to 8 in the playoffs? It's a free for all at this point. Like it's
these are smart teams, dude.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's making it worse because you got to adjust, and there's not a clear outside of OKC. There's not a clear this team is definitely going to beat this team type scenario. Like 2 through 8 could really beat anybody from 2 through 8. Like them matchups are just so volatile. You don't know what the heck could happen.
I just look at this. As much as you say that, I still think that this drastic of a change, I don't see how it's good for them. I just don't. I don't. But we'll have to see. Hopefully, my Lakers get them in the first round because I wouldn't mind having them. But yeah, man. It was a surprise for me.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was
just the timing of it. Just the timing of it. But not because they fired him. It's just the timing of the firing is what surprised me. Because I don't think we've ever seen something like this before. Where a coach gets fired 9 games before the playoffs.
Yeah, not that I can remember. The Grizzlies fans don't seem upset, though.
Oh, no. I bet they don't because they've been complaining about him the entire season. And that's another thing about NBA coverage. I was reading a tweet about it, and this person made a great point in that if the NBA media were covering the Grizzlies more, they would have saw this coming a mile away, just like with the Milwaukee Bucks with Adrian Griffin. They would have been like, oh, you know what? This has been brewing for months on end now. But because they're focused on other things outside of the game of basketball, you're going to be surprised by something like this. You're going to be shocked by something like this. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. They're just going to have to figure it out for themselves. Let's move on to, I want to get to the quick topics first before we get to the real deep conversation of things. Damian Lillard, it's unfortunate he's going to be out indefinitely with blood clots.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening with the NBA with these players, but it seems like more players are being diagnosed with blood clots.
That is, yeah, because Wemby just got diagnosed with one in his shoulder, I believe. So that took him out for the season this year. Now Damian Lillard, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm not a doctor, but it's just weird because ever since Chris Bosh, it just feels like there has been more players that are dealing with blood clots. I just can't remember this many players each year being diagnosed with blood clots. Because remember, Asar had
I was
blood
just
clots.
about to say that, yeah.
Brandon Ingram, we mentioned before. But now Victor Wembanyama, but now Damian Lillard. Like, these are prominent players that are being diagnosed with blood clots. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know exactly why this is occurring so much with these athletes, but man, it's just unfortunate. I hate to see it.
Yeah, I have no clue. Like, yeah, I would say it's because, like, I know they say the taller you are, you're more susceptible to stuff like that, but it definitely feel like it's been more prominent in the recent years. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, because in football, you don't hear much about players having blood clots.
Nope.
You hear them about having CTE, but you don't hear them about having blood clots. So I'm wondering what is it about NBA? Is it just too many NBA
Maybe
games?
it could be because of a lot of cardio. I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's just weird. It's just weird. But the Bucks are going to be without Damian Lillard. It's a possibility he can come back, but we still don't know. It's indefinite, so remains to be seen. The Bucks, Giannis, this situation, it just seems like.
If I'm honest, I'm like, trade request.
Yeah, it seems like self-destruction at this point. Everything that has gone wrong has gone wrong. It's just unfortunate for the Bucks, for Giannis, because we have been screaming for the Bucks to get a number 2 for Giannis for the longest, and we thought Damian Lillard was that guy. And you know, he's been okay for them. He's been an all-star caliber player for them, but it's just unfortunate that now he's going to be out. I hope he gets back. I hope he gets healthy. I hope he has a speedy recovery, and that we can this doesn't hurt his NBA career in any sense. It's just unfortunate. Just prayers for Damian Lillard, prayers for his family. That's all I can really say on that matter. And yeah, man, Milwaukee Bucks situation just keeps getting worse and worse by the day.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Anthony Davis. He returned recently. I think he's played 2 or 3 games. He sat out a back-to-back, but I think he's played 2 or 3 games. My question to you is, how do you feel about Anthony Davis returning? Are you okay with that?
Honestly, considering it's only a few games left, I mean, I really don't have a problem with it. I mean, I guess Mavs could be like, you're trying to mess up our draft stock, but like, I don't think, have they been winning?
Not really.
Yeah, I mean,
not too much.
Let me see the past games he actually played in.
They
beat the Magic.
Yeah, they beat the Magic.
And they beat the Nets. And they beat the Pistons. So they've been doing a little winning. But yeah, all in all, I don't have a problem with it. They only got, let me check, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 more games left. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, 8 more games left or so. So I don't mind. Just get some reps.
He hasn't really been playing all that well either. But again, he's coming back from that injury. He's going to be rusty. So it's not surprising that he's not going to be at his top form when he comes back from injury.
And he's like 30-something.
Yeah, he's like 31.
30. So. He's 32.
Yeah, 32.
Just turned 32.
Just turned 32 in like February, I think.
No, March.
Excuse me, March. But yeah, Anthony Davis, I'm fine with it because I go to his remarks on why he returned, because he wants to show Mavs fans that the trade wasn't a mistake. You're getting a talented player, that you should be happy for the future of this team because I'm on the team. I'm not mad at that. I appreciate that Anthony Davis is going about trying to come back into a season that many people feel like it's a lost
Yeah.
cause. For him to come back, continue to play, we have to applaud him because he could have just sat out. He could have just said, hey, my season's over. I'm getting my money.
Yeah, shut me down.
regardless.
I'm done.
But this just goes to show that, one, he's not cheating the fans. Two, he actually cares about the game of basketball. And three, he wants to show the fans that I'm a valuable piece to this team. And I feel like hope is important for this organization, especially in a time where a lot of media people, a lot of fans, a lot of basketball fans in general are condemning them for the trade, which appropriately so. But I like what Anthony Davis is doing. I think that any person that is against load management should be appreciative of what Anthony Davis is doing. And that's why I look at Stephen A. Smith and him saying that Anthony Davis should sit out as a contradiction on your stance on load management. I look at people like Stephen A. Smith and I just shake my head, because what do you want? You can't have it both ways. You can't say we hate load management, players should be playing even if they're hurt, and then condemn said player when they said, I want to come back, I want to play, I want to compete, regardless of the record of the team. Because at the end of the day, they're playing in front of fans. They don't want to cheat the fans. Why are we critiquing them if they want to play the game?
True.
I just don't understand that stance. I used to be that person that believed that, hey, the season's over, just sit them out, try again next year, try to get a high draft pick. But at this point, the way that the league has looked in previous years in regards to load management, I say F that. I say no, because if we're trying to change the image of the NBA, make it more positive, make it to where it's that's not the narrative anymore, then hell yeah, I want my player to come back. Hell yeah, I want Anthony Davis to come back, because we're trying to change the narrative of these players don't care. These players, all they're doing is taking money from the fans, taking money from the organizations. They're cheating the public out of the games. They don't care. Well, here's an example of a player actually caring about appeasing a fan base that is emotionally distraught from what happened during the trade deadline, close to the trade deadline. Like, for crying out loud, it wasn't just Luka Doncic that they traded away. They traded away Quentin Grimes, who was another future piece that they could have had to the table. They traded him to Philly, and he's putting up 40 points on some games, 30 points on some games. He's playing well for the Philadelphia 76ers, and now he can be an important piece for the 76ers and not the Dallas Mavericks. So they need something to gravitate to, and maybe that's Anthony Davis, because Kyrie Irving, ACL injury. There's so much stuff that went wrong with this team. So many guys got injured. Derek Lively, all these dudes got injured. Him coming back and saying, guys, I'm still here. You can still root for this team because I'm going to be here. I don't see a problem with that.
Me either. I'm never going to rag on a star for wanting to actually play basketball. Like, that's insane to me.
And this is called growth, in my opinion, because I used to be that person that would condemn a player on this. But as time has gone on and as more time has passed where I'm watching the games and I'm seeing how the media is covering the game, I have to appreciate what these players are doing, like Anthony Davis. So, all right, moving on. Lamelo Ball out for the remainder of the season. He's getting surgery. He's getting procedure on, I believe it's his wrist. Lamelo, he was putting up pretty good numbers. His efficiency numbers wasn't all that great, but he was still putting up pretty decent numbers. My question to you is, will Lamelo ever have the opportunity to play winning basketball?
Not as the number one option. No. I don't see it. It's just he just can't stay healthy for a full season. Like we seen, like the games played is ridiculous. He's had one season he played like 70 games, and I want to say it was his rookie or second season in the league.
Yeah, something like that.
He's already on a second contract, and it's just like, when is he going to ever play health? When is he going to be healthy for a full year? Him and his brother caught the injury bug.
Yeah, when you look at the past 3 years, he's played 47, 22, 36. 2021, 2022, he played 75. 2020, 2021, he played 51. I think 2020, 2020, that was the year after the bubble.
Yeah,
so
the season was shortened. Yeah.
So,
but the past 3 years, that's what sticks out to me. And the Hornets have been god awful the past 5 years that he's been in the league. I just don't know when he's going to have the opportunity to play winning basketball, because the fact that he keeps getting injured, or rather he keeps having to end his season early, and he's been in the league for 5 years. It's like, for crying out loud, like this is one of the problems I have with the NBA today, is these talented young players that get drafted to these awful organizations have to stomach constantly playing losing basketball every single year, and at the end of the year having to end their season early because the team is playing for a number 1 draft pick. This is a problem. Now, Adam Silver has tried to correct this in certain instances with the lottery, changing the format of the lottery in terms of the percentage. 3 teams have the same percentage chance. The bottom 3 teams have a 25% chance.
I thought it was 15.
15% chance. I think it used to be 25 for
Yeah.
the worst team, but 15% chance to get the number 1 draft pick. So he's trying to change it up to make it more competitive. But even still, these teams are still going to tank how they want to tank. And the Hornets, it just seems like, again, another year, another lost cause where your star player, he barely plays, and at the end, he has to end his season because the said team is tanking for a number 1 draft pick. It's just sad. It's just sad.
Yeah.
It's disgusting to see.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. But that's just the way the league is nowadays. A lot of youngsters, they can't stay on the court. I'm not sure what it is. We got the best medicine, the best trainers in the history of the sport, and yet players are more injured than ever, it seems like. I don't know if it's because of the food that's out there and now and all that mileage they had from playing youth ball up until the NBA, that's a lot of mileage, but they just can't stay healthy. I don't know if it's the shoes. The shoes could also play a factor in it. I don't even know at this point.
It might be the way that they train too.
Yeah,
it's another
that is
factor,
true.
A lot of these players don't even do any weight training. They just
that is true.
Like bands and
resistance training.
Or they'll just hoop.
Get out the bed. Don't lift no weights. Just hop
hoop.
out the bed and hoop.
So if you're not going to strengthen your ligaments, your lower extremities, then by the time you get on the court, how are they going to be able to withstand that punishment when you haven't put in the work to straighten those ligaments so they can withstand the constant just going down the court nonstop for 48 minutes? I don't know, man.
Also, like, these dudes, I know this has nothing to do with Lamelo's injury because it's his wrist. I don't know how he messed up his wrist. He might have probably failed and try to catch himself. Which players need to stop doing. If you feel like you're falling, your best bet, do not try to catch yourself. You can mess your arm, wrist, finger, you gonna hurt something. If you fall, you're just gonna have to brace for impact. Unless you're about to fall on your neck and you just cook. But
remember Brandon Miller? He went out the remainder. I think it was a shooting hand.
Yeah. So y'all gotta stop trying to catch yourself when you fall. I know it's a natural reaction, but you gotta like bring that arm in, just prepare the impact, because I tell you do not want to mess your hand up or arm up doing that stuff because it could be bad. But also want to say a lot of these injuries, man, like these players are running more miles than ever because the pace is so high, and like you gotta really guard from 3 to the paint because there's just so much shooting going on. It's just a lot of running, man. Like, it's a lot of mileage on these players' bodies, and we really need to fully eliminate back-to-backs. And I'm honestly in favor of shortening the season because I know it's going to mess up some player averages, but a lot of times people use per stats, so per 30, per all them type of numbers. So yeah, we gotta figure out something.
I just think at the end of the day that players like LaMelo, you mentioned it, they can't be your number one option if you're trying to really win basketball games.
Honestly,
because
feel
they're
like
unavailable a lot of times.
Honestly, feel like there's not as many number one options than people would think.
Right. I think because again, the best ability is availability. If you're not available most of the time, then how can I count on you to carry this team?
Like true championship number one options, in my opinion, would be obviously you got the usual suspect, the ones that have rings: Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, Steph, LeBron. Everybody else is questionables. I might even throw Shea in there if they could somehow get it done this year. I'll throw Shea in if they get it done. But other than that, Luka, Luka Ball is kind of, you're going to have to put a heck of a team around him. And even still then, you run against somebody like the Celtics, you going home. Like all these other stars, y'all got question marks.
I think number one options are players that you can count on no matter what. Meaning availability-wise, they're going to be there most of the time. The way that they play the game, it's adaptable. They can come up in the playoffs if they need to carry a team. It doesn't matter. Those are the number one options that I look to. And you mentioned it. There's not a lot of true number one options. I don't think you have to win I don't think you have to be a champion to be considered number one option. I just think that you have to be a guy that when you look at that person, you say, I can build a championship around that person. They can carry us to a championship.
So I would put Shea in that category.
I would put Shea. I would put Luka in there. You already mentioned Jason Tatum. What do you mean? He literally carried the team to the finals.
I understand. Okay, fine. You could throw Luka in there. Not the way he's playing right now, though, but you could throw Luka in there.
I mean, he's been fucking great in March.
Them 30 points wasn't moving the needle sometimes.
Oh my God, that's because
y'all defense is terrible.
Everything.
I don't know what happened. Y'all was playing.
About that.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
But everything else surrounding the team, there's so much he can do. And everything else surrounding the team.
Okay, yeah, fine. We'll throw Luka in there because he did make the finals. Exactly, so yes,
bro,
okay.
Because he had the perfect team that complements his talent, and that's what you need when it comes to a superstar. He's in that list. There's probably about maybe 7 or 8 dudes that you look to as like true number one options, or guys that you can build around and win a championship with.
Would you put Ant in that category?
Not yet.
Is KD still in that category?
KD, no. I don't think so. I think well then again, no, I don't think so. Availability is important for me. I think at this stage of his career, the amount of games that he misses, very talented player, but you got to be available. And I can't really count on Kevin Durant to be available a lot of times. So I would say no. But all the other players I listed, I would say yes.
That's fair. I agree with that one. I can't really think of any other players.
Yeah. I'm not going to put Joel Embiid in there.
Oh, heck no.
Obviously.
You crazy?
You already mentioned Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, so.
Jokic, man. Jokic, he might be... Whew. That pass and that
he's
like
the
he's just doing stuff
we've ever seen
easily.
Hold on, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Hakeem is for
all right.
Nigeria. Jokic is on his way. Let's say that he's on his way. Let's say
he's the best offensive talent we've seen
out of the Euros.
Okay,
I'll give you that.
There's not a better foreign.
I think Hakeem all around is the best. Hakeem is a defensive player of the year.
All around, he's the best we've ever seen from a foreign player. So, I'll just leave it at that. But, all right, let's move on. All right, Lakers. So, like we always,
y'all having a rough stretch.
Like we always do. We talk about the good, we talk about the bad, we talk about the ugly. This is the ugly. So Lakers still struggling. Month of March has been just disastrous for them. They've been losing left and right. Injuries have really hurt them. They finally got LeBron and Roy back, but it seems like that they're still having chemistry issues right now. And I've heard so many different things. One about the schedule being very daunting and how this defense requires them to the swarming defense that they have, where they give up threes, but they want to protect the middle, they want to protect the paint, and what I've heard from at least JJ Redick is concerned, talking about how this schedule has really hurt them from an energy standpoint, and I get that, I really do, but
you gotta play the game.
You gotta play the game at the end of the day. And
schedule excuses. That what we doing?
I do. I'm watching the games, and you can tell when a team is low energy and when a team is locked in and giving full energy. And for a bunch of these games, they're low energy. They're not doing a good enough job of getting back on defense or closing out. They're allowing blow-bys. Mm-hmm. It's dribble penetration.
Giving up open shooters, letting a lot of open shooters.
Yeah, and
like what's his name? Patrick Williams tore y'all up.
He did. Kobe White.
He been cooking this
Josh
shit.
Giddey and that rookie.
Matas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of them from the Bulls. But I was looking at some stats, and one thing I will say is that our defense, which is we're willing to give up threes to bad shooters, teams that are bad shooters. The past 3 games, we are right there with Cleveland and OKC at the top when it comes to giving up 3-point shooters. But at the end of the day, we're still having problems defensively. The paint-wise, giving up paint points were like 11th, I think it was, which is not the worst in the world. But when you watch the film, we're allowing guys to get to their spots too much. The Magic game, for example, where Wagner and Paolo were getting to their spots no matter what. Mid-range, getting to their dominant hand. They were doing whatever they wanted. I wasn't mad at the fact that we were allowing an Anthony Black to shoot wide open threes. We were allowing Paolo Banchero to shoot wide open threes. It's when you are giving up paint points and when you are allowing them to get to their dominant hand and get to the spots that they want on the court, and then fouling a lot is a problem. And that's how you're going to lose games. And then on the other hand, with the offense, we're middle of the pack offensively. We're one of the worst teams shooting the 3. So in this day and age, when you're not shooting the 3 at an elite clip, it's going to be a problem. Assist-wise, we're assisting the basketball, one of the better assist teams in the NBA the past 3 games. But when you're not shooting the ball effectively enough and the offense seems disjointed, it's going to be problematic overall, especially when defensively you're not doing the greatest at stopping on the other end. So the Lakers, to me personally, defensively, it's an energy thing. I don't think it's more so a skill thing than it is really just an energy thing where you have to put the effort into playing defense, because Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent are getting cooked too. And these are supposed to be good perimeter defenders. So when those guys are getting cooked too on defense, then that just lets you know that it's not just a scheme thing that you can point to. It's really an effort thing. Luka Doncic, obviously he's not going to be playing the best defense in the world. Austin Reeves, he tries, but at his size, he's going to get cooked. But what lies before us is effort, and they're just not giving enough effort.
Yeah, especially in the second half, y'all definitely falter this second half. I'm like, ooh, y'all give 20-point lead.
Right.
That's coaching and effort, like you were saying, and honestly, down the stretch,
that was on LeBron.
Yeah.
Easily, LeBron is 100, and he admitted it. LeBron was 100% fault at the ending of that Bulls game. We had it locked up. If he would have made sure to not give up that 3, didn't turn the ball over, and didn't allow Josh Giddey to heave that half-court shot, we would have won the game. But he screwed up. One of many little that he has been at fault for in late game situations. But that was him. That was all him at the end of the game. He cost us the game.
Yeah, it's just y'all gotta figure something out. Y'all can't be giving this type of effort to close the season out, because then that stuff will drag into the playoffs.
Schedule doesn't get easier.
Exactly.
Schedule doesn't get easier. We have the second hardest remaining schedule in the NBA. We have OKC twice. We have Houston. We have Golden State. We have some dogs coming up. So we're going to have to get it together. It's just going to boil down to, are they going to have the energy? Are they going to be able to put in enough effort to defend? Because this all comes down to the defense first. We have to be defensive first, and then offense will come after. If we can put enough effort on the defensive end, I believe the offense will come to us eventually. But if the defense isn't the number one priority, then we're screwed. We're screwed. And I believe they can do it. We were the number 2 defense at one point before the injuries started to pile up. It was before we started to get to the March schedule. But once that March schedule came about, our defense just went out the window. So that's all I'm gonna say on that matter.
I've seen some Lakers fans. Do you have any concerns about LeBron going into the playoffs?
No, because I think he's rusty right now. He's got to remember, he's 40 years old. It's going to take him more time because he's 40 years old to get his legs under him. I don't think this groin strain injury is one of those things where it's hurting his athleticism, it's hurting his ability to defend. I remember I heard something. I don't know if this was LeBron who said it, but I heard something about to the realm of when it comes to getting back into form, it's about your conditioning. It's not about, trying to remember how to shoot a basketball, how to dribble. It's more so about conditioning because you remember Luka Doncic, when he came back from injury, he got traded to the Lakers. It took him a little while before he really became Luka Doncic. It took him about 2 to 3 weeks before we finally said, boom, he's back. That's the top 3 player in the NBA that I see. The same thing can be said about LeBron. I just think that him at his age, it's going to take him longer to get back to form because before he got hurt, the dude was playing some of the best basketball in his career. I said he was a top 5 player at that point, potentially first team All NBA. I believe when we get to the playoffs, he'll be good. He'll be ready to go. They just need to defend, defensive first. So we'll see. We'll see against the Grizzlies coming up today.
Oh, y'all play the Grizzlies?
Yeah, we play the Grizzlies coming up today. So we'll see how they look. But boy, oh boy, they gotta play defense. They have to play defense. Because if they don't, they're gonna lose 99% of the time. You cannot lose to the Magic and the Bulls. They've been playing better, but you cannot lose to those 2 teams and expect that you're a contending team, expect you're a serious team at all. So it comes down to defense at the end of the day. All right, boy, oh boy. Last topic. This is
more
I got a
soap
lot to
opera.
say about this. I got a lot of there's a lot I can say about this. But so a couple days ago, LeBron James went on the Pat McAfee show. This came out of nowhere, a surprise. He did an hour-long interview with Pat McAfee, and I watched almost the entirety of the interview. I enjoyed it. He was very I would say he revealed a lot. He was very open in the conversation. I was a bit shocked because he's more reserved in certain instances, even on his own podcast, even on podcasts with Shannon Fry and Richard Jefferson, he doesn't reveal a whole much. So for him to be this open, to be this vulnerable, was a shock. So LeBron went on a podcast. I'm gonna keep it towards the media type of thing because he said a bunch of other stuff as well. He brought up Stephen A. He said that 1, he's on a Taylor Swift line, and 2, that he missed the point of what he was trying to say to Stephen A. The whole thing about 1, protecting his household, 2, protecting the players, and him saying that pretty much it was personal. That is it. We're talking basketball. Why are you being personal? Mm-hmm. And that's the whole Stephen A. point. And he said, yo, chill out, dude. I didn't find any offense with what he was saying. I don't know why anybody would be offended by what he was saying. And then the other thing was about Brian Windhorst, where he's saying, yo, this dude tried to act like he's my friend. He's weird and stuff like that. And people took offense to that one. We'll get to that a little bit later. But to the Stephen A. point. So Stephen A. next day, matter of fact, no, he went on his podcast. He went on his podcast and talked about it. Was that where he talked about if LeBron would have put his hands on him, he would have swung on him, but he would have, I would have had to get my ass whooped because I would have swung on him. So that was the podcast where he said that. Next day, he went on First Take and continued to address it. And it was very uncomfortable. I ain't gonna lie. I watched, I think they had like 3 segments on it.
Jesus.
Yes. First segment was just Stephen A. And he called LeBron petty because of the Instagram post.
With the boxing.
I just find that's
funny to me.
I just think Stephen A. is a hypocrite because, again, him and Skip were trolling LeBron for how many years?
Bro, Skip came into the studio First Take with a jersey and a brick in his hand with a headband so he could.
And Stephen A. had no problem with it.
Yep.
So you were trolling LeBron for over a decade, and now that the rabbit has the gun, you have a problem with it. I just find that interesting with this guy. But, like, I remember when LeBron, after they lost to the Warriors, he posted a video on either, I want to say it was either Twitter or Instagram. He was bald-headed, singing T Grizzly lyrics. Yeah. And Stephen A. was like, I don't want to see you. Why are you posting videos? It's like, my man, he's living life. Yeah. Like, he can't live life. Not everything revolves around basketball. So that's what I'm saying about the trolling aspect of it all. So then after he calls him petty, he called him a snake. He said that he would stab you in the back. And then the most egregious thing that Stephen A. brought up was the fact that he said LeBron wasn't at Kobe's memorial. And then later on, he said that I didn't mean that he was at the memorial because I got word that he was at the memorial, but he didn't want to be shown on camera. And he said, I'll let LeBron tell y'all why he didn't want to be shown on camera. It's like,
because
you're just reaching for thin air. You're just reaching for thin air at that point. But then after that, he talked about how LeBron wasn't at Dwayne Wade's statue ceremony. Mm-hmm. When 2 weeks prior, Bronny James, I think he had the little heart issue. Yeah. He went into surgery and stuff like that. So, yeah, of course, he's going to be by his son's side after a traumatic situation happened. He doesn't want to leave his son's side because his son almost died, went into cardiac arrest. And the fact that he recovered and he's back to doing normal activities at all, I saw something where 90% of people that go into cardiac arrest either die or come out of it not the same. Mm-hmm. So for Bronny James this is a story that should be reported and that should be applauded about Bronny James, but nobody wants to talk about it because they want to talk about, nepotism baby. But Bronny James, the fact that he is still playing professional basketball and he's still able to function the way that he was even before the incident is just a heroic story that we should all applaud. It's a miracle, but nobody wants to talk about it. Regardless, he talks about that, and then I want to say Kendrick Perkins, Brian Windhorst comes through. Brian Windhorst, although LeBron did throw shade at him, he was still respectful, and I will say Brian Windhorst, out of all the media people, out of all the NBA media people, he gets my respect. Despite, although that comment he made about LeBron weeks ago, it was like, all right, bro. But he still gets my respect because he keeps it professional. Mm-hmm. Kendrick Perkins, on the other hand,
you've been a weirdo.
This is why. Okay, a week ago, I believe we talked about Kendrick Perkins. I said, yo, I'm not the biggest fan of Kendrick Perkins. We were talking about Charles Barkley and everything, but I can say that he watches the game. Because his analysis, you can tell he watched the game. This right here, he is completely wrong. Because if you remember, because Kendrick Perkins talked about, oh, LeBron unfollowed me, so I blocked him back. If you remember last year, why did LeBron unfollow him? It's because on Mind the Game, LeBron was talking about Kyrie. He was like, man, I wish, because first he was applauding Kyrie for being great, playing with Luka, making it to the finals. And then LeBron was like, man, I wish I was still his teammate. And Kendrick Perkins went on ESPN and said, see, here we go again. LeBron making it about himself. LeBron, this is not your moment. Yeah, he said that. So he's trying to paint LeBron like, oh, he's selfish. Oh, he always trying to make it about him. Hell yeah, I would unfollow him. Hell yeah, I would not be cool with him anymore. What? That's where it gets personal. And see, this is where people like Kendrick Perkins, people like Stephen A., those type of people, they lack so much self-awareness. They lack so much accountability on themselves because they believe that they're always the victim. They believe that they can do nothing wrong. That LeBron is the crazy one. LeBron is the guy that is always at fault when it comes to these situations. When they don't look themselves in the mirror. They ain't listen to that Michael Jackson song. What was it? Man in the Mirror. They need to listen to that song again. Because if you think that LeBron James would just unfollow you for some petty reason, you're wrong. You made it personal. Any other time, if you're criticizing his basketball ability, by all means. But it seems like these guys don't know how to separate when it's personal to just simple bad basketball criticism. They think it goes hand in hand when that's not the case. So I bring those things up to get to who looks worse in this situation between LeBron and Stephen A. in your opinion.
Let me think about this for a second. I'm going to go with, obviously, Stephen A. This man has been, he making ESPN a lot of money. I say that he earning that contract, that however many $1 million a year. He got that contract extension and got the work. You get me? But Stephen A. Smith he's going outside. He's low-key crashing out at this point. Like, he's just saying stuff that you would think of well, or maybe formerly well respected at this point, member of the national media wouldn't do. Like, journalists back in the day wasn't doing stuff like this, especially on national TV.
No.
Nowadays, like this is like WWE shoot style promos at this point. They're not even pretending. This is a real shoot. And this is just like, wow, what in the world is going on? Like, this is just crazy. Even Shannon Sharp was like, Stephen A. just drop. Even your man that you vouch for to bring on ESPN is kind of telling you like you need to relax, like you crashing. And it's just a sad sight to see. As far as Kendrick Perkins, he's been a
crybaby,
interesting fellow to say the least. And like I said, Brian Windhorst, he kept it respectful. So he still says he owes LeBron a lot for his career and all that stuff. So W high road, I guess. But Stephen A. You cook your barbecue chicken, buddy. The scenario, you already went outside in person. You made it even worse hopping on multiple platforms talking about it, and it's still going like, bro,
just relax. Like LeBron said, just relax. And LeBron didn't say anything that should have him feeling like he should come out here and be personal and being loud. LeBron looks like the more mature person.
You know what I think it is? I think Stephen A. has, for so many years, he's felt like he's Teflon because he's been saying all these things about the players and no one really checked him about it. But now that the top star in the league is like really checking him about it, he probably feels like his position is being challenged. And he's like going the extra mile to prove like, I'm still Stephen A. I'm still. So I think it's more like his ego is more hurt than anything. So now he's like scrambling, trying to protect that image that he's built over the years of, I'm Stephen A. This is ESPN. This is my stuff. No one's going to talk to me about what I can say on there. Now someone checked him about it, and he looked like a timid mouse. Now all of a sudden, oh yeah, he a snake. He this. They're like, dang, how did he snake you? All he did was tell you to like leave my son alone, leave my son out of this stuff, and stop getting personal with your sports critiques. How would that snake behavior? You act like he told you to say that stuff, then wanted to check you. This ain't WWE.
Right. I never seen him more flustered than Friday.
Yeah.
I was not Friday, it was Thursday. Because I was watching it and I was like, wow, LeBron really got this man in his feelings. Because he was reaching for thin air. A lot of the stuff he was saying, it just didn't make any logical sense. It just felt like you were reaching at that point.
He really was crazy. Like the whole Kobe Memorial thing.
And then the Michael Jordan thing, he brought up the fact that he was like, because he was saying like, oh, are you mad because I don't have you as the GOAT and that I believe MJ is the GOAT? That's just reaching for thin air.
NBA Twitter level analysis
That's just reaching for thin air at that point.
That is NBA Twitter analysis. Random account, 15 followers with Jordan as the profile picture level analysis. That's so silly to hear from somebody that's supposed to be a top journalist in the sports world. That is ridiculous. Then the whole he ain't do no research before getting up there saying he wasn't at Kobe's memorial. Then he ain't get no further context about why he wasn't at D Wade's trophy ceremony or whatever. It's just that he just went on there and just started spitting, and it was spitting foolishness.
I mentioned this before. We talked about this before about the fact that these media people don't add any context. They only talk about one side of what is occurring, and it's the side that they believe in, and not the whole story. Another thing, what I noticed first of all, I heard a comment that talked about LeBron. I thought this was great in the fact that when LeBron approached Stephen A, when he pressed him, his whole point was that, hey, it seems like you're making it personal. If this is between you and me, leave my son out of it. Don't talk about my son. If this is between you and me, leave him out of it. And I don't see a problem with that. I just think part of it is a communication problem, and then part of it is just guys are not like Stephen A is just not listening. He doesn't want to listen to LeBron and what he's telling him why he's mad. He just feels like I'm gonna keep harping on what you told me when you pressed me. LeBron is telling you exactly why he pressed you, and you still don't want to listen and call him a liar. Sometimes at the heat of the moment, we say things that doesn't entirely communicate our point. So what does LeBron do? He goes on Pat McAfee's show and tells you exactly why he's angry, why he doesn't like Stephen A's point. And Stephen A calls him a liar. It just blows my mind. But here's the thing what LeBron did. And you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Kendrick Lamar last year. The whole beef with Drake. Everything that transpired. What LeBron did was he drew a line in the sand. Essentially. He's like, at this point, the things that the media people are doing about being personal, not talking about the game, talking about everything outside of the game, we're not going to be okay with that going forward. He drew a line in the sand on that. He pretty much watch the party die. Essentially, where this is going to be unacceptable moving forward. This whole thing about being personal, taking shots at athletes when that's not basketball related. I think that's what LeBron is trying to do at this point. It's becoming bigger than just Stephen A and LeBron at this point. It's more so how the media is covering the game. And it reminds me so much of what happened with Kendrick Lamar and Drake in that sense. It's so funny how like a year ago it was Kendrick Drake beef, a 10-year sort of beef, and now LeBron and Stephen A, this was like brewing for over 10 years. It's just funny how we're in a new year and kind of similar situation. It's just in different genres of jurisdictions. And LeBron, he's just telling these media people, even Wendy, who weeks ago talked about how LeBron signed that Nike contract because of Michael Jordan when he was broke. He was in the hood. His mom was in the hood. And Nike was offering $90 million.
Exactly.
Why the hell wouldn't he take that contract?
Even Jordan would say, take the contract.
Why? And then LeBron literally said that, like, it was because of the money.
Yeah.
But regardless, he's drawing a line in the sand. He's telling these media people that this stuff that Stephen A. and all these people are doing, taking shots at athletes on their personal lives, is just not going to cut it.
Now, unless Wendy was coming from the perspective that he was able to get that contract because Michael Jordan set the precedent for shoe deals in the league, then that's a different discussion. Because then he would be right if he tried to use that context. But here's what I think this really boils down to. At the end of the day, if you got your butt whooped in private, only you and the person that beat you know.
Okay.
But if you get whooped on camera, and it gets posted on all these social sites, now it stings a little more.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think it boils down to. Stephen A. got embarrassed on camera in front of all these thousands, now millions of people that seen it. If it just would have had, if Braun would have gave him the same energy, the same word and everything, but like backstage where maybe only maybe 5 or so people saw it, and then you would only hear articles about it, it would not be this bad. He just got embarrassed.
It's like Drake and Kendrick. This is literally what Drake and Kendrick happened. This is what happens when you don't know how to take an L. This is the problem with America. This is the problem with society. It's okay to take an L. Don't try to make it worse. Just take the L and move on. Stephen A. did the right thing. He went on the show. The tone of his voice, he felt very apologetic in the tone of his voice. He felt like he didn't want to go any further with it. But then he just kept going further with it. And he started to take it further than what it needed to be. He said, man, he called it weak.
When on Gil's Arena.
Why would you say that? You see what I mean? Like stuff like that where you're insulting this man when you didn't need to do that. Just go on your podcast like you did.
And the thing,
address it, and that was that.
And the thing with Stephen A. is, you know what is weak Stephen A.? How you gonna disrespect the man on national TV, question his fatherhood, but when he checks you in person on a much smaller scale, it just so happens someone was recording this interaction. Now all of a sudden, oh, you could have hit me up, we could have talked about. No. And where I'm from, where we from, or just that's a general rule in just society. If the disrespect was in public, we address it in public.
Yep.
So I don't know where you thought this was. So I don't know what you was thinking when you get the disrespect someone on a public platform and then try to piece it up behind the scenes. That ain't how it worked. What Steven trying to piece it up?
I don't know.
Clutch trying to piece it up? No, they not.
He's going out like Drake right now. At this point, it seemed like he about to get the lawyers.
He gonna mess around and get banned from crypto at this rate.
You know what? And to my final point, I believe just the way that Stephen A. is going, I think Stephen A. might be on the way out of coverage sports.
Really? I don't think so. They gave him too much money.
You know why? After this contract ends or close to it ends, they could always he can always get out of his contract. But I don't know the details.
You got void years on the contract.
But normally towards the end, it might be a possibility where you can get out of his contract.
The void years.
But let me tell you this. I think the way that it's going right now and just the public perception and criticism of Stephen A. and the way that he's going about just criticizing LeBron and taking personal shots, a lot of these athletes are not going to like that. A lot of these, even former athletes, are coming out and criticizing Stephen A. for what he has done. Some media people are even coming out and looking at Stephen A. a different way. Nick Wright, for example, they were looking at him like, bro, what are you doing? So this is a crash out. This is a crash out because Stephen A. is hurting his credibility because now when he talks about LeBron, we know that he doesn't like him. So I can't believe that he's being objective. That's one thing. And the relationship with the players.
And honestly, you could say the brand, ESPN brand as a whole.
Oh yeah. So here's my thing. I say that because if players are now going to stop wanting to be a part of any sort of relationship with you, and maybe some media people don't like what you're doing, and let's say First Take ratings could possibly go down. Because I believe a situation like this, they can have a ripple effect. I truly believe people look at, oh man, this is great, a publicity. Not always, because
maybe short term.
LeBron has so much power. A lot of people respect LeBron. That there could be a ripple effect. People might stop watching First Take because of this LeBron situation, because they're tired of Stephen A. They're tired of the way that he's covering these players. They're tired of the way he's talking about these players. We saw it with Skip Bayless. We saw how once Shannon Sharp left, Undisputed tanked.
Yep.
The only reason Stephen A. and First Take are still getting numbers, it's not because of Stephen A. It's because of the people that he invites on his program. If you remember, when Max Kellerman got let go because of Stephen A., there was a time where First Take wasn't doing great numbers-wise. But then he started inviting people that people like. Ryan Clark, Mita Kimes, Marcus Spears, Mad Dog Russo, all these people. The only reason Stephen A. and First Take are still prominent is because of those people. Then you have Richard Jefferson that's with LeBron. You have Shannon Pryor that's with LeBron. You have all these different people, former players that are with LeBron. Something's going to happen. And the way that Stephen A. is going with politics, I wouldn't be surprised if he changes genres to more so politics, because he's already doing that with his podcast. So just don't be surprised if maybe 3 years from now, Stephen A. decides, you know what, I'm going to transition from sports to politics because a lot of the sports people aren't rocking with me anymore. How do you feel about that? What do you think?
Honestly, that definitely could be a possibility. I'm not gonna lie. That definitely is plausible. I wouldn't be surprised either, because he is making he's going on Fox News and stuff, which is another issue in itself. But this is a sports podcast. But yeah, honestly, that definitely could be an option he's probably exploring. Say, man, forget this sports stuff. I'm going into politics.
And we've seen cases where sports analysts have transitioned to politics, especially on ESPN. I've seen instances where former ESPN employees,
Will Kane,
Will Kane and other people have gone to politics. So it's not out of proportion to think that Stephen A. is going to make that full transition eventually, because he already said it was already reported in his contract, I believe, from Front Office Sports, that in his contract they have it to where Stephen A. won't have to appear as much on ESPN and that he can do more politics. So he's already trying to make that transition. I believe this is gearing up for him to eventually make that transition, especially after what has transpired with LeBron and how, especially Draymond has spoken out about it. Stephen A. has mentioned that Draymond and him are not cool anymore. I believe there's going to be a bunch of more players that are not going to be cool with Stephen A.
And the younger players are just going to follow suit.
Yeah, because what did Patrick Beverley say about LeBron? He said during the bubble, we looked at LeBron James as the gold standard. He was the captain of it all, and we respect him so much that his word is one to everybody else. He's
like the Undertaker of the NBA.
It's a great analogy. Yes, whatever he wants to do, we're gonna do. If he wants to play, we're gonna play. If we're going to sit out, we're gonna sit out. He's the guy that controls it all because the players respect him the most. And for Stephen A. to say that, hey, when you retire, you're pretty much going to be irrelevant. I'm still going to be here. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And for Brian Windhorst to say that LeBron, if Brian Windhorst to say that LeBron isn't going to be successful in only creating just a production
that's strictly about the X's and O's
strictly about the X's and
yeah.
O's of basketball. He's wrong because Mind the Game
Have a
has
million
over
views like every
million
episode.
views every episode. He's wrong about that. So,
and then he's gonna have different people coming on too, so people definitely want to tune in.
oh yeah, and oh my God, that reminds me. The last thing, and then we're gonna end it all. Kendrick Perkins bringing up the race car.
We did?
Yes, he did this 2 years ago when JJ Redick was on First Take.
Oh, he said why he ain't going there. Oh yeah,
about the MVP debate with Nikola Jokic. Now he did it with LeBron, where he was like, "Why didn't you invite Richard Jefferson? Why didn't you invite Shannon Fry on Mind the Game?" And then guess what Richard Jefferson and Shannon Fry did? Well, they went on our podcast in recent years before, so.
And LeBron was hosting his own podcast centered around Black culture. The Shop. He was hosting his own joint.
So here he goes, trying to play the race card again. And we don't know their schedules. You don't know their schedules. They could be busy. And why are you questioning him bringing in a Hall of Fame point guard, one of the best point guards, one of the most brilliant minds we've ever seen, and a former coach in the NBA? What's the problem with him bringing in Steve Nash? Oh, because he's white? It just baffles me. It's just stupid. It's just this is people that are on television. But regardless, is there anything else we missed you want to talk about? It was a lot of heavy stuff that we talked about today, but yeah.
Nope. Not no NBA. Nope. We've covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we did. Whew. Yeah, man. Hopefully next week we can get back to normal and we can just talk about the games. But my God. Anywho, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials. Check out our other podcasts, our main channel, Courtside View Podcast, NFL. Link will be in the description. Check out our full podcast series, and we'll see you all on the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.
Salute.
Just let me be me.